foam, low density EVA foam, and LED foam. So the higher the density the EVA foam is usually indicated to put, it has less air present in the foam. This means that the foam will be higher density and it's heavier and also sturdier. Next, please. Another aspect to take into account is the thickness. You can make this about any reasonable thickness look good, but these are some guidelines when choosing. So if you want to layer details on top of foam, usually you'd go for a 2mm foam, which is a much thinner, it's more like a craft foam that you could find in any craft store. It's usually really, really thin, but you can use that for any layers of pauldrons or bracers. So that's what you would use for decorating. 5mm foam is really good for armor base, such as the one I'm wearing right now. You could use it to make a breastplate, and for big details as well, you can also use 5mm. 7mm foam for armor is a really good for base as well. And 10mm is for heavy props and heavy armor, depending on the design of the armor. But it's usually what you would use for, as you can see, 10mm props, heavy armor. 20mm is for huge props as well, for like swords, for example, and any type of unusual designs and props. 10 and 20 is probably is the best for those props. Go ahead. Next, please. When using low density foam, it's best for these specific craft projects. It's much softer and preferable for more detailed armor shapes. So for complex shapes like horns and fitted armor, organic and creature shapes like skull mass is what's best for low density craft foam. And when using high density, it's best for specific craft projects. It's much stronger and sturdier, so it's best for armor like the one I'm wearing. As you can see in the pictures, light and medium armor, heavy armor and props is high density is best for that. Next, please. Then we have foam dowels and bevels. I don't know if you guys usually have these types of foam here in Barbados, but you can definitely find these shapes on Amazon. It's a bit pricey, but they're definitely very helpful. You could still achieve the same design on armor if you cut them out yourself. It's just a little bit more handiwork. With a sharp X-Acto knife, you have to make sure your knife is really, really sharp and sharpened, because as you use a X-Acto blade or box cutter blades to cut into foam, it gets really dull over time, like very quickly. So you have to constantly sharpen your blade. But we have come a long way where companies now sell foam dowels and bevels pre-cut, like what you're seeing here in the pictures. They come in triangles, they come in dome shape, and dowel in a dowel shape. But also, like, you don't have to buy the half cut ones if you buy the round ones already, because you could just cut it in half, you know. So they can be cut, heat shaped, and glued like regular EVA foam to achieve desired shapes, textures, and structures. They are usually made out of high density EVA foam. On my costume, you could see here that I used the triangle to do the decorative pieces on this armor that I'm wearing. And also for the bangles here, it could be used to, create bracelets or any type of decorative thing is what you could use these foam dowels and bevels for. Next, please. So here is a different type of foam. We have we have come another long way. We have scales that are pre-cut as well. So if you have an idea to make a dragon armor or any type of mermaid or anything of the sort that has scales, you can also purchase pre-cut scales, craft foam as well, and all you have to do is really just layer it in the pattern of your desired look that you're going for. And yeah, you just preheat it after you apply it to your base to seal the foam, and then you can start priming it. I usually use, I'll get to the priming stage in the PowerPoint, but I just wanted to just touch base on it really quickly. And but yeah, I usually prime right after I heat seal the cells of the foam so that your paint doesn't just soak up all of the paint for a better finish. So yeah, and the next foam on this, the next foam onto the right is LED foam. So you want to make this cool prop, or you have a armor piece that lights up, depending on your character. You want to add LEDs, but you don't want your LED lights to kind of like show too much, to show the dots of the light. So LED foam is also something that diffuses very well for any LED armor or prop. As you can see in the pictures here, it shows that it comes white, like a white sheet, but when you add the LEDs behind it, as you can see the lines of the LEDs on the outer side, but you can't see them once the LED foam is in front of it. And it diffuses it very well throughout the entire section of illuminated foam. This can be painted as well. The LED foam can be painted. It could be airbrushed, and it could be sealed with a primer as well, which is wood glue or any type of glue. You know, it dries clear. As long as it dries clear, you know, you can use that to prime the LED foam for a cleaner finish in your build. Next, please. So foam scales, again, I'm going to touch base on this. Foam scales are pre-cut and made from high-density EVA foam and can be heat-formed, glued, cut, sanded, and printed. These foam can be used for dragon scale armor, mermaid designs, monster hunter armor, and scale-clad cosplays. Foam clay, that's right. There is also another foam I want to introduce you guys to if you guys don't really use that. I'm not sure if it's also available here, but Amazon definitely do sell that. It's called foam clay, and it's a non-toxic water-based type of clay that works a lot like natural clay but dries as regular EVA foam. It can be sanded as well, cut, and even be carefully heat shaped. Just wet your fingers and smooth the surface when you are sculpting the surface of the EVA foam. So it's very easy and very forgiving to utilize in your armor when you're based on your design. I use that for certain parts of this costume I'm wearing, like the very pointy edge of where I'm touching right here. And right here in the middle of my armor chest piece is to sculpt and hide the edge of the foam dowels that I've cut here as well to kind of blend it in together. And once you start priming it, all of this will go away, and then when you paint it, you cannot tell that you use different mediums. It just kind of comes together with paint and a nice finish. So this foam clay, just wet your fingers to smooth the surface when sculpting. And also, it's best to leave your sculpture to dry for at least 24 to 48 hours. Foam clay can also be used to fill large holes and seams in foam. So if you're working on like any bracers and you don't want, or like It doesn't matter really what piece you're working on. If you don't want to have a seam, you can use foam clay as to fill the seam or any gaps. Let's say your dog or cat chewed up your foam and has little holes in it. It happened to me. Yeah. I had to like fix it with foam clay and it filled it in really nicely. And you can also sand away any excess that is also on the foam as well. And you can continue working on your project as if nothing happened. Also, for LED foam, it allows light to pass through it. It can be sanded with a Dremel, heated with heat gun, and glued. However, super glue will have a bad reaction, so don't use super glue on LED foam. Otherwise, it's gonna be a disaster. Recommended to paint this type of foam with airbrush or with a sponge using transparent paint is best to paint EVA foam for a really nice finish. Next, please. And we are on to Warbler, Finest Art and Black Warbler. Warbler it comes in two different, at least the base ones comes in two different versions. The brown Warbler that you're seeing on the screen is the first version of Warbler and it's Warbler's Finest Art. You can use this to sculpt any design that you would like. I used it for my crown here that I'm wearing on my head. It's covering foam actually. So whenever you're using black warbler or warbler in general, whether it's black or brown, you have to use a heat gun to heat it up to form any design that you're trying to make with it. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work. So the original Warbler Finest Art, this has great self-adhesion, excellent stretch. It stretches over curves and is orange peel, like it feels like orange peel when you to the touch. Finest Art is often used for large builds such as base for armor. And black art, which is the black warbler on the left side, is often used for fine filigree work and detailing. You use hot air, water, or steam to shape the plastic however you want, pliable and taking details well, becoming hard and stable when cool. And warbler can be built up in layers shaped over forms of foam, foil, wire, or similar armatures. Next, please. So the best foam glue for great adhesion and strength, I would suggest contact cement or barge. I'm not sure what you guys use here, but again, Amazon is your best friend to buy all of these products and it lasts a long time. I would also suggest you to pour your contact cement into a squeeze bottle, kind of like those ketchup bottles. And yeah, for easier cleanup and easier applying to your project. Also, barge is toxic, so it's best to use it in a bottle and not open. Make sure if you are gonna use it out of the can, that you're in a well ventilated area with open air because this stuff is very toxic and I have definitely gotten sleepy once or twice, maybe 3 times using it. It's in those. Don't be like me, okay? Don't be like me. But it's a brushable contact glue that has a durable bond when applied, and it's also water resistant. The glue adheres to most surfaces such as EVA foam, PE foam, wood, fabric, leather, and so much more. Next, please. Another primer that I use for certain foam types, such as LED foam, Flex Bond is the ultimate primer for foams and thermoplastics. So you could use this on Warbler as well. You can also find this on Amazon as well for ease of access to purchase. The primer is quick drying and water-based, which makes it non-toxic. You can also apply it with a brush, sponge, spray gun, or any way you prefer. You can also build it up for details on any project. If you want your project to be a little bit more bumpy or rough in texture, you can build it up with a sponge and let it dry and just keep building it up in layers. And you can also, yeah, pretty much you could use it to do priming and to add texture to any like smooth surface you would like. Acrylic paint or pigments can be added to the flex bond to give it a tint. 3 layers are advised for perfect finish. Half an hour in between layers. Leave overnight to dry before painting. Next, please. And the primer that I use personally is Plastidip. This is basically what they use for automobiles, but I think it's the best primer for EVA for me personally. But Plastidip is a liquid rubber coating for priming foam. It's fully flexible spray paint. Spray at a distance of 30 centimeters and wait 30 minutes between each layer. If you don't do that, it's going to dry the most annoying way, and then you get super upset when it gives you textures that you do not want. Also, whenever you do spray this primer outside, stay away from the grass because bugs like to suicide into your drying project. And I can't tell you how many times bugs have become a part of my projects because they fly, because they think it's water and it looks like water, and they would fly into it, and they just get stuck, and then they would try to drag their carcass, and it's just there. So you either like catch it quickly, get them out of your Plastidip, or you could just keep layering it after it dries, and they're just a part of your project. Yep, that's a thing. But yeah, you need 3 to 4 layers for a good result. The coating is completely dry after 4 hours, and then you can pretty much start painting after that. Next, please. You can also find it on Amazon. I am not sponsored. Next, please. Quick seal. Okay, so Quick Seal can be found in a hardware store, and Plastidip and also can also be found in a hardware store. That's where I usually buy it, but Quick Seal is what they use for plumbing or any type of home renovation work. But it's really great for cosplay as well. It's an excellent filler for seams or holes in EVA foam. It fills up the imperfections and you could smear it smooth with wet fingers, and add 2 layers for good coverage. Once it dries, it will look crazy, but once you prime and paint over it, it's gonna be a really nice finish. Next, please. Oh, we're at the end. Yeah. Thank you guys. I hope you guys learned a lot. If you have any questions,
Yeah, actually, I have a question.
Right. Yes.
Right. So what is your process like when it comes to making these full material?
So I usually start making this armor by working with a base. I have a base pattern for a breastplate, and I would use like the 4 millimeter foam first to make the front shape and back shape and the breastplate, and then I use 2 millimeter foam for the details on the chest right here. So because it's thinner, it's easier to apply these details, and then you start using the foam dowels that I covered to add extra details around the shape here, and for the textures that I have here, you wouldn't believe me if I told you this, but it's actually fabric. For these scales here, it's hardened because I've primed it with Plastidip with good decent coverage. So it's quite hard, but it is plastic. It's not plastic, fabric. It is a pleather-like fabric that's in the form of a mermaid scale that I applied here on the chest, and then I used a type of crocodile fabric for the sides to give a different texture on the sides. So you're applying this on top of the black base of the foam before you start any priming stage at all. Once you like where the design and everything is on here, that's when you can start starting the plastidip and covering everything in plastidip, and then you could start, painting.
Okay, and you've mentioned that certain things takes hours to dry up and to set in. So like, how long does it like it? How long does it take to for it to be officially finished, have the full look completed?
So usually, when I'm making something like this, I would have everything pretty much applied to the base of the armor, and I would put it outside to just to be completely dry, with good weather, and not directly in the sun either. You don't want the sun messing with the drying process of your primer. So in a good shaded area and away from any bugs, anywhere for them to get to it, I usually elevate it with like cinder blocks and just have it hanging from it, or just laying on top away from the ground. I mean, the ground is fine for priming it, but for drying, I usually put it in a higher spot. And during that time, I would be inside doing the sewing portions, like sewing the fabric for the different parts and the thigh pieces here, and yeah, or I'm sculpting the headpiece here with black warbler, and just creating, because the base of this is actually craft EVA foam, and then it's covered in the warbler because you can make it out of foam, but the when you have it on your head and it's wearable, you don't want it to be floppy or bending. You want it to be very hard and stiff, so that it gives a finished look like it's a hard piece of metal when you paint it with metallics. So I covered it in Warbler. So like I do everything in stages. While something's drying, I am sewing, or if I'm not sewing, I'm sculpting, or I'm with the Warbler.
Okay, let's see. So what would be your favorite piece you've made out of foam?
So the favorite piece that I've made on this costume is definitely the chains, because it was a process, because it's basically I think this is probably 3 millimeter foam that I had to cut in some of them are squares and some of them are rectangles, and then I had to cut little rectangles in the center, and then cut a slit to attach each link. But once you pretty much plastered it, all of this, and then painted it, it started looking like, the vision I had. And yeah, this is probably my favorite part, and also the breastplate is my favorite part because of all the different textures and everything that I had to do.
All right. Um, so what makes you want to go into foam building as a cosplayer? Because other cosplayers have their